heard.
Okay.
Just said it'd be in 2 minutes.
Yep. How you doing, Counselor?
Pretty good, Mark. How are you?
Oh, never better. It's always a pleasure to see you.
What'd you get at Walmart?
What do you
I
have?
saw you walking into Walmart when I was driving by. I knew it was you.
I was stopping there to see what they had in the $5 bin for CD music.
Whatever you got at Walmart. The $5 bid.
And I got the first album ZZ Top ever produced. And it's pretty good.
$5?
Yeah,
Well done.
it's some of their more primitive blues stuff.
Okay.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
Well done. Yeah, I saw you walking in there going, there he goes. I could tell that gape anywhere.
I'm still trying to process how Scott says he sees you at Walmart as he drove by.
I was driving by on the way home. So there was no preposition prior to there. I'm correct.
All right, we'll call the meeting order.
Yeah, after that little banter.
Great. All right. We'll start with roll call.
Okay. Mayor Manning,
Here.
Brenneman,
Here.
Keel,
Here.
Monahan,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
and Jones is absent with notice.
All right. Move on to the agenda. You want to make one comment before we approve it? Down at the bottom there, we've got appointment to fill vacancy for Ward 2. We've got a little more work to do there. No plans on making an appointment on that tonight, but we got a little more discussion to do with that yet, so. Otherwise, we have a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve. Also track the appointment portion of the new business.
A second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have a motion to approve the minutes from 9/4/2018.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and we have a motion to approve the minutes from 9/12/2018.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, we do not have any bills submitted for payment. Next item on the agenda is for public comments.
Whoa.
We
do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the business.
We got cruise right past it.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Thank you, Mark.
You gotta sign it, baby.
You always save the most money when you don't spend it.
That's right. Good man. Okay. And none? Nelson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
all right, now we'll move to public comments. Any public input on any non-agenda items tonight? Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm State Representative Michael Clark, representing Hartford, Humboldt, Crooks, and Northwest Sioux Falls. On September 12th, the governor called for a special session of the legislature to deal with two separate issues, and we considered three bills. First bill was House Bill 1001, which had the issue of dealing with the conflict between state law and the state constitution regarding the swearing in and the transfer of power of state officers. This was just a quick amendment to the bill to ensure that everyone will be sworn in on this Saturday before the main legislative run, which is normally the second Tuesday of the year. The next issue was dealing with the remote seller sales tax. We dealt with Senate Bill 1, which removed the injunction that was put on remote sellers in collecting and remitting sales tax. Once we removed that injunction, it did have an emergency clause, so this will take effect November 1st. So we're asking remote sellers who have over $100,000 in sales in the state of South Dakota or 200 separate transactions to get a sales tax license and start collecting and remitting sales tax for all but 3 companies. Those companies are Wayfair, New A, and Overstock. Those companies are part of the lawsuit that went all the way to the Supreme Court. And that injunction has to be removed by the courts. This does affect the city, and that they will start collecting city tax as well. And this is part of the streamlined taxing project. Second bill was Senate Bill 2, and this deals with the marketplace websites. These are websites that people can sign on, put their products up for sale, and they also handle the payment. We are asking these sites to start collecting and remitting sales tax starting March 1st, 2019. They ask for some extra time so they can map out all the products, all the sellers, so they can make sure everything is taxed correctly. There was no discussion about what will happen to the money as it's collected. We're saving that for the next legislative session. Are there any questions?
I have a question. On the first Senate bill, there was a volume, but it was $100,000 or 200 sales.
Correct.
Is there a volume number on the second bill?
No, it's the same as the first bill.
So it mirrors it? It does the
Yes.
same dollar amount
Correct.
or sales, so it goes,
Now, everything that comes from that marketplace website, that equals $100,000 in sales in the state or 200 sales.
okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you.
Thank you very much, man.
Any other public comments?
Just for clarification, the State Bill 1001 again, just a quick recap of that one.
1001 was to resolve, that was to resolve the conflict between the state constitution and the state law regarding the swearing in of the officers.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, if we've got nothing else, we'll move to ordinances, resolutions, applications, and hearings. We have the second reading of approval of ordinance 658, 2019 appropriations.
Make a motion for second reading. Make a motion to approve second reading of ordinance 658.
Second.
Discussion. Monahan? Brummer?
Yes.
Litchfield?
Yes.
And Johnson?
Yes.
Alright. Anybody from the sports complex committee to give an update?
I know Madden said he was not going to make it due to a conflict with a high school game. So I would not attend the meeting. Okay, got an update. Okay.
Move on. Heard from Chief Schumacher earlier tonight. He will not be here tonight, so move on to Jesse with the Chamber of Economic Development report.
Reports in your packet. Do you have any questions?
You've been Monahanized.
Great. I'll be out of the office from October 6th to the 21st.
Unacceptable.
6th to the 23rd.
There's some weekends there.
Well, I know what's going on the 6th.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to California to do some research on economic development. Tourism industry specifically.
Good answer.
There you go.
Okay, all right. Even though that's opening day pheasant season, I gotta break you in soon.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that this year yet. Any questions, you know, reach me.
Okay. We'll move on. City engineer report. We've got a couple different action items on there. I'll let you guys take it from there.
Yep, the first action item is just representing our proposal for Van Black Avenue roadway improvements. We put up at your guys' spots there some exhibits. There was some discussion last time about where we're at with assessments and what the value of that assessment would be. And I think Justin's doing some work on who's maybe with the petition. But what the exhibit that we put up there is just city staff's first guess at kind of where they thought people along that corridor were at, whether they're in favor or not in favor. So the green areas are in favor, red areas are against, the yellow areas are undecided. Right now, we've got the Hugo property as yellow as undecided, and I think, Teresa's been communicating with them, so maybe they're more in favor of the project, I'm not sure at this point. But the second page gives just a breakdown of all the landowners, and then at the bottom of it has a percentage of for, against, and undecided. And right now, the green areas are 39% for, 38% against, 23% undecided. If the Hugo property becomes 4, the 4 number goes about 52% of what we're estimating. So, I don't know if Justin has more to present towards that regard, but I just wanted to explain that, I guess, in the last meeting. We are estimating that the total assessments would be about $391,000 on the project at this time. So that's just going off the general assessment policy of $100 a foot for all this.
I know Justin he's done a great job of selling this, and corner lots get a 25% reduction. That's the one point he's done really well at selling, because it adds up to some dollars. So the only comment I have is, just it hasn't been too many months, but the lot 1, block 2 property owners have changed. That's just something for you to update on your end.
Okay. Which numbers were those at?
That is keynote number 5,
Okay.
501 Part T.
That officially did change?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. Almost there now. What's your name?
Well, his name's Travis. I don't want to mispronounce his last name.
Okay.
His name's Travis. What else is there to know?
One thing on the, I was gonna mention on the corner lot assessment, I don't know how it's been presented, but I know in the past, it's been on the second side,
That's-
of the break. So,
Okay, so that was a clarification I was hoping to make this evening.
yeah.
So if your property, so my property is 502 Part T. So since this is a Vandemark improvement, the 25% reduction is granted on that side, or is it whichever street gets developed first?
That's what we've been doing in the past, is whatever one gets done first, and then if we come back a couple years later and do the other side, you get the break on that second project. That's how I understand it too.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
See, I thought it was 25 on each side, because it was 50 foot at one time.
Okay.
And I sat through all that, I double checked that, I think it's 25.
25% reduction
We'll have to double check it.
on each side. So, okay.
Craig, is it 25% or 25?
25
25
feet, which would
feet.
be the same as 25% at $100, so. It's 25 feet is what it was actually rolled up as,
25 feet.
yeah.
So it's
Well,
actually
25
more than
feet would be-
25% for me.
It would depend on how much footage you have.
Yeah, that's true, yeah, yep.
It's
Yeah, it's
25.
25, it's
Everybody's lots
25.
of 100 by 100.
Yeah, it's 25 feet.
When did they change that? Because I remember it used to be 50 foot off your second side.
Yeah, and we sat through, we tried to find a fair way to do it for some of these ones that would never get their second side done or something like that. So I'm pretty sure it's 25 per
On both
side,
sides.
per side, yeah.
But I don't think it's 25%.
It's 25 feet.
25 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, I know it's
Yeah.
25 feet. That's something we'll have to probably look into quick so we can make
It's
sure.
too late for me, I've already signed the petition.
Well, you want that road paved?
My garage does.
But is your frontage technically done though? I think you could make the argument that your frontage isn't done. You just have an asphalt mat.
Why would I make that argument?
I'm just saying.
How many linear feet is there adding the two sides up?
Total.
I mean, on the petition I have, trees around it, she didn't go to the tenth or.
Justin, have you seen this? Is this accurate?
Oh, what do I think?
Well, that's what I was just curious.
We just,
There's an extra one here,
Oh, they got one for you.
Justin.
3917.
Yep, that's what I got.
And you need 55%, right?
Yeah.
So currently I have about just shy of 70% of enough signatures. So. But I just wanted to, that's what I came up with was.
Yeah.
This was generated by Stockwell's.
Yeah, we actually put this together months ago,
Yeah.
you know, when we first started talking about this project. I mean, it's been a while, that's why some of the things are out of date.
Okay,
too.
okay.
But it was just staff just sitting around thinking, just guessing.
Ah,
who was
yes.
gonna be in favor of it.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like if you have enough footage, Justin, then it's just a matter of turning it in and.
I don't have enough footage
Oh,
yet.
yeah, you said you did have.
It's close.
I have about 69% of the 55% that I need.
Oh.
You can follow.
Gotcha.
I didn't hear the 55%.
Alright, other things, Teresa had in her report some of the questions that were laid out at the last meeting, such as is the right of way secured, cost estimates, proposed property estimates, all those kind of things, so. If, you know, kind of check down those, look through those, but some other questions we got out there.
Just for my clarification, what you're proposing is to see that project to completion. We've already made the investment of $43,000 for some initial engineering. This additional $203,000 gets us to
Yep.
a blacktop road.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. Finishing all the utilities that are involved underneath there and roadway improvements.
Okay. I just want to clarify that that's how I read it and interpreted it.
Yeah.
So for comparison's sake, since we're like, I mean, there's another elephant in the room, that's Mickelson. I would say that this is roughly 50% of those engineering fees for Mickelson. That'd be a fair assessment.
Yeah, I don't remember if you were offhand, I guess I'm listening, but.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to accept the proposal. Is that what you're asking?
Right, to approve the amendment for engineering services for Vanmark.
So moved.
I second.
Discussion.
One of the comments Teresa made there, really remember the 55% was kind of the magic number in these kind of circumstances. And one of the comments she made here, and maybe Councilman, you can expand on a little bit more, and maybe when this took place. If more than 55% adjoining, you can move forward with a favorable vote. But state law has changed to allow the city to move forward with a project of necessity regardless of the majority or not. When did that take place?
I think it took place 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
And what it does is there may be certain projects that you have where because of the cost to the landowner, no one's gonna wanna move forward with it. And they filed a 55% protest, or doesn't get there, they could override that, but it requires a 2/3 vote to move ahead with the project and still go ahead and assess it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Other questions, discussion points? Okay, there you go. Vote, Nelson,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
Brenneman,
Yes.
Monahan.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay, I'm gonna let Ross, the next action item we have is on the sports complex. I wasn't here for that quick.
Okay, before I get to the change order, I just want to do a quick overview, I guess, of what's been going on. The grading is pretty much complete or is complete on the South Street lots. It's all been seeded, fertilized, mulched now. most of the rough grading work on the sports complex area and topsoil placement is complete on the north, or the sports complex area. One thing to note is that we are generating substantially more excess material than we expected. And we attribute that mostly to the value of shrink that we put on, the soil.
So it's a wet year, so there's less shrink.
No, just the soil in place was, more compacted, I guess, than we anticipated, or, was tighter, and generally that shrinks as you, grade, through a grading project, we typically attribute like a 30% to 40% shrink on the native material.
And it's probably only shrinking 15 to 20 is what I'm finding.
Sure.
Yeah. It's not an exact science, when you're dealing with dirt. We just make the best guess that we can based off the soil boring and what information we have. And usually 30% is kind of the standard.
Sure.
Sometimes it's higher than that, sometimes it's lower. And
Something works in our favor.
what's that?
Something's working in our
Yeah,
favor.
I mean, I'd rather have, on a project like this, more dirt than not enough dirt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to bring that to your attention, and all of that excess material is right now being stockpiled on the city lot on the north side of the sports complex. In our plans, that's the area we designated as if we have excess material, that's where we're going to stockpile it. And with that, as the contractor has been stockpiling, we did notice that they were kind of cutting the corner on the Central States lot. And I brought that up with the contractor several weeks back, asked them to address it, to shift their pile over to make sure that they weren't cutting that corner anymore. They didn't immediately address that, they continued to do that for a while. I brought it up with them again, and now they talked to the general manager at Central States, and I called and confirmed that they spoke with him and received permission to continue doing that for the remainder of the project, as long as they come back and restore the topsoil and then seed everything before the project's all done.
Is your main point of contact Matt out there? Matt Stoops?
Matt Stoops,
Yeah.
yes, him and Kirby Hofer are the two, I guess, co-owners, yeah.
Okay, now you mentioned the piles, and then just by sight, it almost looked like we have one pile that's kind of a clay base and the other one that's black dirt. Is that, am I correct by saying that?
Yes, so
Okay.
they made sure they separated those piles so we don't just have a mix of
Right.
material.
It's cool.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. What are we gonna do with that other 5 acres, or that dirt when somebody wants to buy it, guys?
Thank
I know
you,
we're off
thank you for
topic.
bringing that up, because it was a point that was brought up to me. So, and that individual that brought that up obviously was not in the know. So, that's good clarification. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and just on that stockpile, we've actually, and Don's here tonight too, we've actually talked to him a little bit about their short of dirt on their project over there with the Nap Mining project, so there might be, I don't want to necessarily speak for Don, but there might be, he might want that dirt, I guess, for his project, so.
Dirt's always it's always in demand, whether it's clay or black dirt, so if we can keep it local, that by far is probably our best option.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we got enough to fill in where that shed's going before we give any year.
Okay, that was gonna ask my question. So, are you gonna do that, since you got a new
We're
payloader?
gonna, yeah, we actually were talking about, we were actually talking about having the contractor bring it in there, because they were trying to.
Well, they're there, yeah.
It was so wet down in there that they're afraid they're gonna run it up and tear it up more than they're gonna do any good for it. So
Okay,
we'll just have to truck it in there and bring it in ourselves.
the city, we will do that, okay.
We'll work out this fall.
And so that's for the shed that we talked about a year-ish ago, and that didn't have electricity, all that kind of fun stuff. Okay, so that game plan, I noticed there's a little bit of a ramp kind of going off the parking lot
Yep.
due south right now. This is still on topic, even though it might not seem like it. So your game plan is to take it straight south from that outlet going out of the parking lot?
That'll be the entrance going out, or entrance to that building, and then
Okay.
we'll get together with Mitch and find out what we need for actual boundaries for the parking lot and everything else back in there.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
Because it'll take a lot of dirt to bring back in there.
I figured as much. And anybody's input here, and I'm to blame more than anybody, because I totally forgot about that, and so we really, and by right, since they were right there anyway, should have had this as part of the work order. Is that safe to say?
They were gonna do it, but it's so soft back in there.
Right now?
We never included in there, Scott, because we just felt that, they're using scrapers to pull that dirt out of there
Right.
and pile it, and really to get back in here, it takes an end down
Mm-hmm.
truck to probably to load it and then put it in there. And we just, when we designed this project, we always approach it as a city would do that part of it.
Okay.
Keep on going, Ross.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
No, it's good.
So I think I covered kind of my update portion. The action item we have is a change order for removing the concrete structure and the rubble that was out there, that I discussed at our last meeting, I think. I asked RMS to put together a number, I guess, a quote for me on their price to, investigate the expense of that structure that was out there, excavate it, load it into trucks, and haul it in the Sioux Falls, or the location that they found to dump it at. Can be $1,560. They did not ask for any additional time with that.
Make a motion to approve the change order for RMS drainage for, $1,560.
Second, motion second. All right. Discussion? None? Go ahead.
Yeah, my only discussion would be, just looking out there, it seemed like it was probably well past the fact, but had we not cut maybe that next field to the east down as far as we had, we may have never even known that foundation was there. That the total elevation had, when you look from the very westerly field to the middle field where the foundation was exposed, is that accurate? Am I thinking correctly?
Yeah, so directly east of those soccer fields, just 50 to 100 feet.
So it's literally, it's just perhaps as a big a fluke as there could be. And
Yeah.
this is about, it's quite a bit more economical than I thought it was gonna be, so.
It sounded like it was a little smaller than first anticipated too.
Yeah, the structure itself ended up being kind of smaller than what we had anticipated based on kind of the outline you could see in the clay. And it ended up being a lot more rubble and a little bit less of the actual concrete than what we thought initially. So.
All right, we got a motion and a second on the change order. No more discussion, we'll vote. Monahan?
Yeah.
Brennan?
Yeah.
Keel?
Yes.
And Nelson?
Yes.
Along up here, is there any other questions regarding other projects in the report, or?
I'm gonna go back on sports complex here, you kind of touched on it briefly. So you're saying that the soil content that is being worked now, okay, is sufficient to the point where it will be able to grow grass. It looked pretty clay-based to me when I was out there. I don't know soil samples from a load of hay, except I used a full 4-bottom plow with an olive, and that's it. But anyway, it looked like things are pretty rough, and I'm just asking this because of the point that, God forbid you're trying to plant seed in gumbo ground, so do you feel there's sufficient black dirt, fertile black dirt, to get the job done as quick as possible?
I think yes, based on what I've seen out there, there definitely is, different combinations of topsoil, and some, are a little, some are a little more gray, maybe have a little bit more clay in them than others out there, that we can component. And I kind of know what you're saying, by the baseball fields, it looks like
Right.
it's a little bit more gray colored, I guess. but it all was topsoil that we salvaged from the project. Some of that may have been, down towards the bottom of the pond, ponded areas. And I know that some of that material, when they placed it, it was really wet and it kind of stuck together.
Sure.
And they did a lot of work disking it to get it kind of broken down. And that could be part of why it looks the way it does, I guess, but.
We took some samples into Scott to check for, the phosphates and stuff like that that's
Okay.
in there, just to make sure it is fertile, so we're waiting for results back on that too. But if they come back and there's an issue there, if something's not fertile, then we'd have to start talking to the contractor about amending it in some way, adding some nutrients or something to it. So when we get those results back, we'll be sure to follow up with you guys.
Okay, cool. Final question, outside of the retention ponds, then everything else out there is gonna, at some point in time, before we put seed down, which will be before winter, right? Okay, is gonna be flat. It's gonna, I mean, are we crowning at all? Or is there gonna be any crowning taking place?
Well, there's gonna be ditches along there to convey the
Well, I
water
know
along
that.
there. Yep, and there's gonna be, we did have a couple of mounds built in along the outfield fences of the baseball complex
Saw
because the idea is someday those ditches where the road's gonna go someday are gonna go away. We might need a little dirt to fill that back in, so we wanted to keep some there. So you're gonna see a couple mounds there that are there for that reason.
Okay.
But the intent is when you come build the street, you fill those ditches in the storm sewer and build your road, and then that's down the road.
Yeah, yeah. And how are we applying that seed again?
Right
Drilling
now,
it?
it's a drill.
Drill.
Is what's spec. I know there was a concern about maybe we should consider broadcast, and we've always specified drilling seed in our projects because we don't have irrigation out there. We worry about a big rain coming and just washing that seed off
True.
there, and if it's just broadcast. We suggest and would recommend we drill that seed in there, and then what people don't like about that sometimes is it comes up in rows, and if it comes up a little sparse, it might need to be overseeded. And that's just part
We did
of
that already,
That's
yeah.
gonna be part of your maintenance plan. So you're gonna have some work beyond this project to make sure that is coming in.
Gotcha. And, I don't know if this, I think this, well, it's probably off topic. I was going to say it briefly. Any coordination with the turf expert out of Southeast Tech? I mean, we had mentioned him in the past.
I guess we haven't. We could sure reach out to him if you have questions.
Because at one point, he, and I should have followed up, I wanted to get to this point first. He actually wanted to, and entertained the option of having his turf management class take this on as a project, after the fact.
Yeah.
So, your thoughts on that? I mean,
I think that's fine as far as ongoing maintenance with that. Sounds like a good idea. Just as far as the seed goes and stuff, we consult with Mill Warren Seeds out of Brookings. That's who we kind of consult with when we have questions regarding the seed and best practices and stuff.
okay.
But yeah, if you have someone that wants to help, just guide you in the maintenance of it, I think that's great.
Make note of that. Okay, thank you. Sorry to slow things down.
All right, do we have any more questions for Ross?
Just a comment. Probably as much for Mitch as it is for Ross. If we could get these topos when we're approving a plan, it definitely helps us know what the final vision is.
Sure.
Because we look at a two-dimensional piece of paper to begin with.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any topos on it. It's got some lines for curbs and retention ponds and things of that nature.
Sure.
You see it's a depression and you go, all right. And then you actually get out on site. You're standing in the bottom of a retention pond, this is enormous.
Right. Yeah.
This is way bigger than I envisioned it when I looked at that two-dimensional drawing.
Yeah.
You know, and every grid line's a foot. When you look at it on here even, 6 foot comes up on you pretty quick.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I mean, the plans are always available here at City Hall. I mean, if you guys ever want, you know, that detailed of the section on it every week, I can sure send that out to you.
I will say, I think we're getting way more elevation. I mean, we are way closer to the next phase of this project than I initially believed we were going to be. I thought we were gonna just end up with a lot of flat ground that still needed to be shaped.
Sure.
And we're really close to, you know, the next time we talk about this, it's gonna be, we need to cut in some roads, cut in some parking lots, put some curb and gutter, or not some curb and gutter in, but, yeah, some curb and gutter. And we're gonna actually see something take shape pretty quickly out there, so I'm actually very, very pleased with the final result. And then, in regards to the South Street portion of this, you know, I would assume that we've got a massive clay pile out there, and clay was the first thing that probably went in on South Street, and it was topped with some black dirt. Because I did see a compactor sitting out there, a roller compactor, and so, just, there was a concern in the community that was all black dirt filled in out there, but I would say that it's,
No, they actually, I don't think called any black dirt, maybe a little at the end if they didn't have enough, but they salvaged.
what was there.
Yeah, topsoil off that, put in a pile, and put in clay.
Perfect. Okay, very good, thank you.
Alright. Thank you, Ross. We're gonna move on to Public Works. Craig?
I'm just gonna touch on a few things. With the slurry seal project, the crosswalks turned out light, like they shot them too quick, too light. I have contacted the contractor himself about it, and he gave me the number and contact person. I contacted them. They were gonna come out and look at it last Monday, or this Monday, but I didn't make it, so I'm gonna contact them again tomorrow, get them out here and check that out. Sandal with Intermountain said that if they don't take care of it, or Missouri Petroleum, if they don't take care of it, that give him a call and he'll make sure it gets taken care of, so. Next thing I was gonna just touch on is equipment. We brought one dump truck down there, got that blinker figured out on it, and then Neil brought the other one down because it's been having a hard time starting. That's at 94 Ford. Brought it down there. There is a problem with the fuel pump. It drains the fuel back, and that's gonna be about $400 for the parts. He said also the turbo's out on it. That's about $1,500. And Neil also had him look at the brakes because it pulls to the left when you drive it. And he said all in all, to fix everything, we're looking at, he thought maybe 4,000. I think it's gonna be more than that. I just wanted to kind of see what you guys thought. We're gonna get rid of the truck down the road sometime. I was gonna think just maybe we could live with the brakes, pull a little bit, so we just stay in town with it. Still got power even though the turbo's out on it. And we're not thinking about just putting money toward the fuel pump and get that taken care of. But if it's something we're to hang on to, well, then we should fix it up. So
What's it worth right now? I mean,
we paid $11,000 for it about 15 years ago.
right,
10 years.
so it's probably worth about $4,000 period.
If you put the money into it, you'll never see it back out of it.
Okay.
I don't see it anyway.
Right.
So here's a question. I just laugh because I just wonder how much you need the turbo in town.
Yeah, that's why I said we can go without that, you know.
But I don't know, you never want to build it up to 20 pounds of boost, you know, when you're on Side Street. Anyway, I digress. I still think that's pretty funny.
That's why I said.
So if we can live it.
What they're saying is, they hadn't noticed it until they took it to voice.
Yeah, that's just it. Didn't know the turbo was out until somebody told us.
We're not on the highways with it, so.
So here's my question though, if we're theoretically gonna live with brakes, and we're gonna live with no boost on it, why can't we live with a hard start condition?
Because you have to go out and pump, you have to prime the pump on every time.
Does it have manual primer on it?
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
It's
12 degrees outside.
You don't have to crank it over by hand. Life is good.
It fires up once you prime it up. It fires up good.
Yeah, it fires off, just so you sit out there prime it.
So it's just bleeding the residual
It's bleeding back, yeah.
pump pressure out there.
It's been doing that for.
I'd say get that fixed.
Yeah.
That's
I hate
what
that you guys get work comp injury pumping that primer.
So we'll get that taken care of on it, and like I said, the rest of it we can, we'll live with, so. Only other thing in mind, I guess, basically the pool, they should be done tomorrow, winterizing that, and getting all the features put away. We did start working on some drainage issues that are, some drainage problems that we've been waiting for it to dry up enough. We thought yesterday, or Monday, we'd have a good day on it, I guess it was yesterday. And we got a good start on it, and we got some black dirt put back in, and now we ran to rain again, so hopefully next week it's supposed to dry out, and we'll get back on these drainage areas and that stuff. That's all I got there for.
So a football question, I know it's always been a flip the coin type of scenario. Plans on maybe doing ice rink this year or not? Would it just kind of?
We did last year.
We did last year, I know. It just kind of depends on the weather and see where we're at.
Pretty much,
And we still have the mats that were put down where they gotta
No,
change them
them
every
are-
year.
We're buying liners from the elevator for them, just like silage liners.
Okay,
Last year we didn't, it was cold enough that we get ice to form out there.
right.
But it doesn't hold water, and those liners, it's a one-time use. Kids poke holes in them as soon as they can,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, just, she said pool and water.
I'm still thinking fall, haven't thought of winter yet.
I know, I just, someone actually asked me that, not that long ago.
Now, we'll definitely, try to get one going.
Okay.
Anything else?
Alright, thank you. Finance officer report. Karen.
I have nothing to add, other than what was in my report, unless anyone has any questions.
You've been Monahan eyes too, huh?
I like that.
Should've done this years ago.
Got nothing else? And we've got Teresa's report in our packet. Any questions or discussion? Alright, our old business. We've got considering the contract revision of our space lease with Speed Connect. This is the one that was on the agenda last time. There were some other clarifications.
There's
Discussions
nobody
with
here
council.
from Speedco?
So,
Teresa has showed me the contract and the emails, and the contract says, for either party to get out of the contract, you have to give notice. And under, this particular case, it's obvious that the notice wasn't given. The contractor is suggesting that they'd like to renegotiate terms and conditions of the contract, and that language is in there. If your question to me is can you think of a good reason we should renegotiate? My answer is no. But I'd be happy to answer any questions about specific contract language.
I only have one question. I have no interest in renegotiating the contract, but the way I read their amendment, the way it reads to me is, we want to do this on a 2-year contract. First 12 months is a done deal. The second year, either party can terminate with 30 days notice. Am I remembering that correctly? So really, when they propose a quote-unquote 2-year contract, it's really a 13-month contract. That's the way it reads. Am I, because I'm not a lawyer, but that's the way I read it. Is that fair?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. I didn't even sleep in a Holiday Inn Express
Yep. You know, the item that, you and I discussed that earlier today, but the item of if they were to lose their signals, lose their frequencies, and their company were to become insolvent or something like that. I mean, at this point, whether we're in a 5-year contract or not, we're gonna be sitting in line of creditors at that point anyway. So
I think you're at the line, you have no security interest in that good thing for you now, and we touched base also with really what's going on with the telecommunication industry, and that was a pretty hot place to be at one point in time, and I don't know if it's not gonna be another hot place to be, but the more stand-up towers that you get, the less likely you're going to have be people wanting to locate on your tower.
So is there any action we need to take here?
I would imagine we could either take no action or we could take a motion to reject the amended lease. And
I don't
if we
even
do
think-
nothing, we
Just carry on.
carry on.
I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Alright, anything else, we'll move to new business? Next item up is approve the release of 2018 hometown Christmas fund, $3,000.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Lisa Helbig did message me earlier tonight, just said, hey, she can't be here tonight, but things are going splendidly. They got a bunch of new people on the committee, and they'll be coming to give us an update here before Thanksgiving, so she just wanted to let you know. So,
That's why we're talking ice rink, Craig.
Yeah, hometown Christmas.
so, got a motion and a second.
thinking.
Any discussion?
Who's lighting the tree? It's been a while since we've had that argument.
The Miss Hartford is.
Is she? I just wanna make sure,
It's tradition.
because that's it hasn't always been. That's been a hot button topic in the past.
Oh, tell us more.
You were there.
What's the, what did I miss?
I'll tell you it relates to the appropriation.
I'll tell you later.
Setting of money. Alright. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Here's none. Alright, the next one is a different lease agreement, a different situation, is action to terminate the tower lease agreement between the city and West Central School District.
So move.
Second. Second? Discussion?
What do we got tied up in the attorney fees on that? Karen?
Roughly $405. I can confirm with Larry tomorrow.
We looked
that's
at
what
it
we're
tonight,
thinking.
we think that's accurate.
That's accurate.
Here's my question though, when we initially approved this, I motioned for the school to pay the attorney fees, and it died. So now I think if we're making our way on the way out, it doesn't seem logical to me to pay on the exit when we didn't ask them to pay on the entrance.
I'll agree.
I'm just telling you,
But for the record, the reason I was against charging them the $400 was because I thought it was a minor point considering we spent $10,000 or $15,000 more for a over that evening. So I wasn't too worried about the $400.
hey,
There might have been some thought on that, hey, wait a minute, are we gonna make the school pay for the legal fees? And in this case, in Teresa's notes, it says, Speed Connect says that they're gonna reimburse the city for the fees because of their mistake. So some people might be okay with them paying the fees rather than them paying the fees.
Yeah, if Speed Connect's paying the fees, why saddle the taxpayer with the dollar twice? You know?
if it was a $400-some mistake, that's pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, currently we have a motion to terminate the lease. The way it is. You know, I'm reading this as I propose to terminate the lease agreement with the school once reimbursements are received. I don't know if we've received anything yet at this point, and maybe we still will. Didn't see anything come in from them yet. Okay. Comfortable? Good.
so wait a minute.
Yeah, let's hear that again, make sure
Yeah.
Because what I just heard was something different.
My motion was just to terminate the lease
Yep.
without reimbursement, just to terminate it.
Okay. All right, we'll vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Yes.
And Mont?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Discussion / approval of payment for right-of-way acquisition. This one's laid out mostly in Teresa's notes there.
Make a motion to approve the payment for right of way to Roger Halgo in the amount of $5,700.
Motion and second, discussion.
It was a long time to get there, boys.
So was that per acre
That was
That
total.
was
or was that
the
total?
breakdown.
That's total.
Total.
For the
For
.380.
the picture.
So the safe to say, Mr. Hubbo's, attitude toward the city is somewhat changed than it has been in years past?
I don't think anyone here has talked to him, so we're.
Have you, Counselor?
speculating.
In any way, shape, or form?
Teresa has.
Yeah, I knew that. I thought maybe you
Answering
could.
on her behalf, I would say yes.
Okay. Okay. I know you had a lot of fun with them 4 or 5 years ago.
Councilman Nelson, I will say that Roger Howe was an Augustana grad, so might help having an Augustana grad on staff here. That might have helped lift his spirits a little bit.
Wow. So you met Mr. Hubble?
All right.
Just an add for the record, but.
Just like our Joe. He can bring everything back to Augustine.
We'll vote.
Yeah.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Brenneman?
Yep.
Keel?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
All right. And we're not gonna appoint tonight for our vacancy in Ward 2. Don't believe we have any correspondence, unless something new's come up. but that's none. We would be looking for a motion to go into executive session for legal and personal.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we carry the figures? Can we just go right now?
Somebody's like,
We better give it the speed.